Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm gonna show you how to make a delicious chocolate Nutella cake. It's so rich and chocolatey and the Nutella just takes it to another level. The gorgeous drip is done with pure Nutella and I'm gonna show you how to do that too. So without wasting any more time, let's get started. You will need a chocolate sponge for this. I'm using my eggless chocolate sponge recipe. I'm gonna put a link to that in the description below and you can check it out. I'm using a serrated knife to level off my cake top so that my cake is nice and even once it's frosted. If you're making it for yourself or your family, you don't need to remove it. It's just done for a professional looking cake. Even when I make a cake for myself, I never remove it. Why waste cake? So once my cake is leveled, I'm gonna divide it into 3 layers. They are supposed to be equal for a better looking cake, but if you're a beginner, I would suggest you divide it into 2 layers. I'm using a cake lifter to pick up my cake layer because it's very thin and since the cake is fresh, it might break. It's always better to prepare your sponge in advance and chill it for some time so that it's easier to handle. Now I'm using a cake base and I've applied a little bit of ganache to this so that the sponge sticks to it and doesn't move while I frost it. Now remove the excess crumbs and keep an anti-slip mat on your turntable. If you don't have an anti-slip mat, you can keep a wet cloth under it. Now instead of using a sugar syrup for soaking my sponge, I'm gonna use a thin chocolate ganache to enhance the chocolate flavor even more. For making this, add some melted chocolate to milk and mix it well until it's combined. Brush it all over your cake sponge so that it's nicely soaked. This will not only add an extra hit of chocolate but also keep your cake moist for longer. Now for frosting this cake, I am using my 2-ingredient chocolate ganache. I'll put a link to that in the description and you can check it out. If you want, you can also use a chocolate buttercream or chocolate whipped cream, but it's nothing in comparison to the intense chocolate flavor that a ganache gives. Now using an offset spatula, I'm gonna spread it evenly all over my cake. You don't necessarily need an offset spatula, you can spread it using a silicone spatula or even a spoon. But if you like making cakes and want to make them frequently, I would suggest you invest in an offset spatula and also a turntable. Both these things will make your work so much easier. So once my frosting is smooth, I'm gonna add in the star ingredient, which is Nutella. Now, I like the flavor of Nutella, but I'm not someone who can eat it with a spoon, So I'm gonna add very little of it, like as much as required just to give the flavor. I'm not going to overload my cake with it. But if you are someone who likes it, you can simply add more. To add texture, I'm adding some chopped toasted hazelnuts and I'm gonna press it into the frosting so that when I place the second layer on top, it sticks to it. You cannot completely frost the cake with Nutella because it's very thin and it won't stay in place and it will just flow off. So you will always need some ganache to hold it in place. Now I'm going to repeat the steps with the second layer. Be generous while soaking your sponge. Add as much as you want to cover the cake entirely because this is what will keep your cake moist and full of flavor. You can also chop some Ferrero Rochers and add it into your cake for some extra texture. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I post easy recipes twice a week so that even an amateur can recreate them. Subscribe to my channel for more easy recipes and don't forget to press the bell icon. Now for the topmost layer, we are using the bottom layer of the sponge turned upside down so that when our cake is frosted, it's free of any loose crumbs. Now I'm going to crumb coat it, which means I'm going to apply a very thin layer of frosting all over my cake so that I can seal in all the loose crumbs and they don't appear when my cake is finally frosted. Frosting a cake seems really tricky at first. I know because I've been there too, but it's actually a lot of fun once you get to do it. You don't have to be very precise or very clean with it, you simply have to follow the basic steps that I'm telling you and you'll have yourself a completely frosted cake by yourself and you'll love it. Once the top is done, I'm gonna apply a thin layer of ganache all over the sides and smoothen it out. There are a lot of different kinds of tools for frosting a cake. My favorite one is a small offset spatula, which unfortunately I couldn't find during filming this video, so I had to use the other two, which I didn't really like. So anyway, you have to figure it out yourself and you have to find out what works for you. So once I've applied ganache all over my cake, I'm gonna smoothen it out and then I'm gonna get to the top. For this, you have to keep your spatula at the edge of the cake and take all the excess frosting inwards. You don't have to be very precise or very neat with this because we are going to cover it with another layer of frosting after this. Once you're happy with the finish, refrigerate it for about 30 minutes to an hour or keep it in the freezer for about 15 minutes until this coating is set. I did another thin layer of ganache all over my cake so that it looks a little neater, and after that I chilled it again. Now it's time for the Nutella drip. Stir the Nutella nicely before pouring it all over your cake. Also, as you can see, by this time I had found my good spatula and I'm using it obviously. So now all you need to do is spread the Nutella all over your cake as evenly as you can. Make sure the Nutella is at room temperature before you do it, otherwise it won't spread properly. Also, for flowing drips, you can add 1 or 2 teaspoons of milk to this so that it achieves a flowing consistency and your drips will look even better. But because I wanted to try a pure Nutella drip for this one, I didn't add anything to it and it worked out just fine. Also, don't worry about the top not looking very smooth. I'm going to show you a little trick. Keep your spatula at the edge of the cake. You can also do it with a spoon. So keeping your spatula steady, simply move the turntable and then keep your spatula coming inwards until you reach the center. This will make your top look pretty and also hide any imperfections. So once the top is done, now for the drips. Since Nutella is not too thin, it won't drip on its own. So you will have to apply a little pressure on the edges because all that excess Nutella would simply get stuck there. It won't drip on its own. So you don't need any extra Nutella, you simply have to put a little pressure on it and it will just flow off. And there it is, our chocolate Nutella cake is ready. It looks absolutely delicious on its own, but just to take it to another level, I'm gonna add some Ferrero Rochers. I'm putting one as it is along with the wrapper because the golden enhances the look of the cake, and the other one I'm gonna divide it in half and place them on either side of the whole chocolate. You can add as many chocolates as you want. I wanted to keep the look of my cake a little simple, so I added only 2. You can add more. Along with this, I'm adding some chopped hazelnuts and some silver and gold sprinkles. And with that, our chocolate Nutella cake is ready and it tastes absolutely amazing. If you make this delicious cake, let me know your reviews in the comment section. I would love to hear them. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Don't forget to press the bell icon so that you never miss any video, and I'll see you next time.